tough time for the students, Usha ma'am? I mean, this is so unprecedented.
As you know, most of the children, they are not of the same background. We are having the children, students, those belong to very rich families, those who belong to very poor families, those who belong to the mediocre families.
Right.
And the students, those who belong to the poor family, it is really very tough time for them. As they don't have the resources, when they don't have the resources, they're facing lots of problem. And we are arranging in one way or another way, some other means, so that they can complete their work and they can also learn some of the things which we are giving to the children. Nowadays, each teacher is doing a lot of hard work. They're preparing their own video. They have created their own YouTube channels, and as
Fantastic.
well as they have made their PDF, all the things they are doing, PPTs, and they're sending it to the children.
Wonderful, ma'am. We will talk about this as we get into the discussion. It is 3:30, and if you allow me, Vivek and Usha ma'am, can we start?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Lovely. So good afternoon, teachers. Good afternoon, Usha ma'am. Good afternoon, Vivek. Welcome to Ideas That Matter, series of webinars by Shulini University, Kasoli Hills, Himachal Pradesh. It is my true honor and privilege to welcome all of you in this wonderful talk by Mr. Vivek Atray. Vivek and I started this small effort called Ideas That Matter around, I think, 10 to 12 weeks back. We've now touched around 100 different schools and colleges across the country as far as Calcutta. We have spoken to more than 100,000 teachers, and it's a true honor to speak to your school today. My name is Atul Khosla. I will be your moderator for the day today. I am the founder and the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Shulini University. As a quick background, I am a BTech from IIT Kanpur. I did my MBA post that from Jamnalal Bajaj, Mumbai. Spent more than 20 years in different MNCs, including a couple of companies that I started, 7 different countries, 35 different cities. When the teaching bug hit me, and I'm a very proud teacher now, I love to speak to teachers and students alike. And like I said, it's a true privilege to be with all of you. Honored to invite Vivek Atray to speak to us today. Vivek is an ex-IS officer, a TEDx speaker, motivational speaker, author of books. Many of us call him the architect or the brain behind the RT Park of Chandigarh, which Chandigarh is now famous for. So Vivek, thank you for that. But more importantly for me, a very dear friend, an advisor, and a professor at Shulini. I think with that introduction, I will request Usha ma'am to please invite Vivek and introduce the school for around 30 seconds to 45 seconds before we get into the discussion. Usha ma'am, over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Vivek, sir.
Sure.
And I'm really very happy to see you again. I met you in CII. You must be remembering we met over there and I asked you to come to Rajpura to my school.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
do you remember?
Yes, we met, ma'am. Yes.
We met over there. And when we were going for the tea time, we discussed for the 5 minutes. And you said, I have gone to the Holy Angel School and I visited over there. But I came to know during this lockdown period, you have the webinar in Mukut Public School also.
Yes.
If I am right.
In Shulini University, we've done 2 schools of Rajpura. Yours is the 3rd one. Yes.
Okay, this is the 3rd one. Okay. And I'm really glad to see you once again. And I want you to give us the very good inputs which can be introduced in the school, and every teacher is going to be benefited and all those things can be used in the school so that the children can be benefited. And you know that I'm the principal of CM Public School. This school has been started in 2010, but this is the 2nd branch of the CM Public School. We are already running one school, CM Public Senior Secondary School, which we are running from the last 50 years. And that school is affiliated with the Punjab School Education Board. But we have got a lot of pressure from the parents for the CBSE. And then we started this branch also. And this school is affiliated with CBSE.
Excellent, ma'am. Thank you
Now
so
I
much
request.
for your wonderful, wonderful introduction. So, all the teachers, the format for the day would be a 30-minute discourse by Vivek. I will come in a couple of times in between with my views, but Vivek is the host of the day, the talker of the day, the chief guest of the day. And we would love all your questions. So there are two buttons at the bottom, a chat and a Q&A. Just don't hesitate to ask questions. Write your comments in chat, and I promise we will answer every question. So not taking more time, Vivek, over to you for your half an hour. So I will request the other panelists now to please switch off the video and also mute yourselves. Vivek, over to you.
Thank you so much, Atul Khosla. It's a pleasure to be speaking again at Shulini's webinar series. A pleasure to be speaking to the staff and teachers of CM Public School, Rajpura. Thank you, Usha Chopra ma'am, for the introduction and welcome. It is nice to meet you again here, although this is a different online kind of meeting to the one we had in CII, where I know we met for an education conference. Atul Khosla did not introduce himself today, so I'll just do a little bit. Atul is an ex CEO of Oliver Wyman, and he's an ex McKinsey partner. He has been a corporate professional and CEO and advisor to many companies. He's also been working in the field of education earlier, and now he's pro vice chancellor of Shulini University. And as he says always, more than that, he's a good friend, and I and he have struck a great partnership. As I'm a cricketer, so I believe in partnerships, long partnerships, and this one has led to Ideas That Matter, which is a series of webinars which have reached out to various schools in the region and the country. And as far as Kolkata and Gujarat, we are going soon, we have reached. So North India especially, we've covered many schools, and we are almost touching, I think, 60 webinars soon, and over 80 schools already touched. So we are very keen and happy to be involved with this school, your school, for this webinar. And this topic you have chosen of finding success within is very close to my heart. And as Atul and Kamal and Shikha and the team know, it is also the name of my book, Finding Success Within. I feel it's a very important topic, so let me share my views, and then Atul will come in for his views. So what I would suggest to you is to first ask yourself a question, all of you: what is the goal of life? And the goal of life definitely is happiness. The goal of life is not satisfaction. The goal of life is not success also. It is actually happiness. And happiness can only come from within. It cannot come from external factors. Even a mango or a chocolate or an ice cream or golgappas can only give us temporary happiness. And if we overindulge in any of these, if we have, let's say, 10 mangoes, then we will not be very comfortable after that. So overindulgence, over dependence on external inputs for happiness will not lead to lasting happiness. However much we try, we cannot make permanent happiness through material acquisitions. And this may seem like a very spiritual thought process, but we'll come to the spirituality later. This is a very practical thing. See, if you look at it, every human being gets tired and bored of whatever he has been aspiring for after a while. After a while, the same position does not seem so exciting. The same goal that you thought is your biggest goal of your life, it becomes old news. And sometimes you feel that, okay, that excitement is gone. So why are we always searching for newer acquisitions, newer promotions, newer pursuits, newer achievements? Because that is what human beings are. They like. They will always keep on aspiring for more and better. However, we have to realize that the journey within is the journey that matters, the journey within ourselves. And that journey has to be creative and cheerful and full of contentment and gratitude. So I am a speaker on these subjects, as you know, and I have 2.5 million views now on YouTube. Whenever you feel that you need to watch some more of my talks later, if I forget to tell you later, you can watch YouTube. You can search my name, Vivek Atray. Why I speak about these subjects is that I really believe it is important to get people out of their stress, out of overthinking, out of, let's say, thinking about others too much, Why is this person more successful than me? Why is my neighbor more happy, appearing to be more happy than me? Why do we start worrying about what others are doing? Thinking too much of what others think about us, thinking too much of what others are doing becomes a kind of weakness. If we are focusing only on our own journey and we are taking inspiration from here and there, whether we are teachers or IAS officers or business persons or educationists of another kind, or we are administrators or we are doing anything, it is very, very important for us to focus on the journey within. What is the battle of life? The battle of life is a battle of the mind. The mind tells us you are wrong. The mind tells us you are right. The mind tells us you can do this. The mind tells us you can't do this. We are not really dependent on truth and reality for such thoughts. Such thoughts come by previous experiences, by our own weaknesses, by our own fears and worries. For example, a teacher who used to sing very well before becoming a teacher of chemistry, let's say a chemistry teacher, is not a music teacher, used to sing very well. Now is now 40 years old, let's say 45. This 45-year-old lady or gent teacher cannot now find the confidence to start singing again. She has a nice voice, she wants to sing, but doesn't find that resolve, that determination, time also. And the family also is not really supportive, is like, okay, whatever. She sings in the bathroom, she sings in the room, she sings, maybe records a small audio of hers, but she wants to sing. Sometimes we must forget what the world will think, what the dunya will think, and go ahead and make ourselves creatively occupied and happy at what we try. It is said that whatever makes you smile, don't never regret that. So if you are into singing, you want to sing, go ahead. If you are a poet, you have been writing poetry for 20 years, but you have never shared it with anyone except your sister, then go ahead and share it with 5 more people. And maybe 50 more people later on Facebook, or 100 or 5,000. So it is very, very important for us to indulge in our creativity to win the battle of the mind. What is our mind otherwise occupied with? The mind is occupied with routine stuff. This car, that journey, that money, that bank deposit, that homework, that classwork, that particular timetable. This is our work. But we often spend too much time occupied with routine stuff. A mind which is occupied with routine stuff is okay for 70 to 80% of the time. Okay, you are busy, you are active, you are cooking, you are looking after the home, you are looking after your work, you are calling up your mother, you are checking up on some auntie. It's fine. But we have to take out time for something extra special. Then the mind becomes nourished. It is like having a special meal one day, which you will not forget for a week. What a meal you had! Great gourmet kind of preparations, beautiful food, made with love, with care, a special occasion. We don't forget such things easily. So we need to bring out these special occasions in life to be successful. Otherwise, the routine life will go on. Even the boring of the most boring jobs can have entertainment. Let us talk about the job of a gatekeeper. He is a gatekeeper at a railway crossing. His job is to open the gate, close the gate. The train will come, the train will go. Let us say 2 trains come per day. Only 2 trains. He has to open the gate, close the gate once, open the gate, close the gate twice. Now, the rest of the day, the man can, of course, sing, dance, play, write. But if he's not able to take out that something extra, then life becomes extremely dull. It is very important to do these jobs, but it is important to keep your mind creatively occupied. A few other success factors before we go to Atul. A few success factors are firstly balance. We don't over obsess about one thing. We find the balance in life, work-life balance, let's say entertainment and work balance, let's say balanced eating, balanced diet, balanced fitness, and not indulging too much in one thing. Supposing somebody is into shares, the share market becomes obsessed, not required. Obsession is self-defeating. So too much of anything should not be there. Balance. The next, and I often talk about this, understanding people. Understanding that different reactions will come from different kinds of people. Empathy for others. Just now Chopra ma'am told us, obviously every school has children of different varieties, from different family backgrounds. If the poorest of the poor come before us, are we able to empathize with them, make them feel comfortable? Then we have a successful personality. If we get what we want in life, we remain even-minded, we have a successful personality. Because we are not too much overboard with happiness when something great happens, and we are not too much down in the dumps when something bad happens. Ups and downs are a part of life. We remain balanced, we remain what is called with equanimity, and we remain understanding of others. Then our success is complete. So just before we go to the Atul, I'm just going to show you this book of mine. It's called Finding Success Within, 52 Life Skills for Young Indians. We'll talk a little bit more about it when I come back. Over to you, Atul, for sharing your ideas on finding success within, and also a video of Shulini University.
Thank you, Vivek. Yesterday I went through an amazing discovery, and the discovery about happiness was listening to someone who introduced the concept of self-awareness. Are we aware about what we want? Are we aware about what we desire? Are we aware of our dreams? Are we aware of our likes and dislikes? And many of us don't. We just keep on experimenting with that. So my question was, how do I become self-aware? And the answer comes, which you brought up, Vivek, was creativity. So forms of the right side of the brain or creative side of the brain, which is music, art, and other softer things, storytelling, movies, can really help us become self-aware about our likes and dislikes. And once we know what we want, once we know what I call the purpose of life is, happiness comes in. I can give you my example, Vivek. I am a classical IITian. I went to IIT Kanpur, and I'm sure you must have the same story. I mean, you come from a very similar background. I used to call myself an insecure overachiever. Yes, I achieved a lot. I went to one of the best universities of the world, which is IIT. I got into a great business school, a top 3 in the country. I got one of the best jobs in the world, which is McKinsey, and I traveled the world. I was as rich as I could get. I had more money than I had ever dreamt of. I had bought a Mercedes, I bought a BMW. I would travel the best places of the world. I could close my eyes and buy an air ticket and go anywhere in the world. I had money with me. But I don't think I was happy. And then it struck me that I should teach. And I can tell you, Vivek, I have no money left, but I have never been happier. I've donated my money and I sponsor more than 30 to 40 children every year for free education. And that's what gives me happiness. Those frills were frills, like you said, that car, that restaurant that I would go to eat, those things don't matter anymore because there's so much happiness in giving back. So for a teacher, giving back is what's exciting. For me, building Shulini into an exciting place is very exciting. That's my way of giving back. It brings creativity into me. It brings self-awareness into me. And it brings happiness into me. So, I love to tease people around. I love to tease you all the time. And Usha ma'am was asking me, how's the weather in Solon? And I have to tease all of you because Solon is right now around 20, 21 degrees. It's lovely. There's no fan. And it's just beautiful and gorgeous out here. So I did a small video, using my creativity. It's not the best, but bear with it. I still think it's quite inspiring. So I'm going to show this video about Shulini, which is my dream about how to give back to students and how to give back to the community. If you allow me, Vivek, can I play this?
Please.
Vivek, there's a saying by Confucius: if you choose a job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I think all of us, all teachers, are so, I think, so lucky, including you, Vivek, because you're a teacher now. We're so lucky that we get the opportunity of giving back to society. We have the opportunity of the immense wealth of our students coming back to us and telling us that we changed their lives. And I think this is priceless. This gives me immense happiness. This gives me immense pleasure. It gives me immense satisfaction. And I do hope all of you teachers out there get the same satisfaction that Vivek and I get. Vivek, over to you.
Thank you very much, Atul. Very, very good thoughts. And I totally agree with your points on creativity and true happiness coming from there. So ultimately, success is not to be measured by what people think. Ultimately, success is to be measured by your inner peace, your inner joy, your inner happiness. Andar ki ladai is to be won. And the Battle of Kurukshetra, if you look at it, was fought, of course, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Mahabharata. But actually, the scriptures say every day a human being fights the battle of Mahabharata inside his mind. The Kauravas and the Pandavas exist within us. The negativities and the positivities, they fight with each other. And the positivities mostly win. And most people are, largely happy and cheerful. Sometimes they come into low moods, negative moods, critical moods, criticism becomes a part of them, and worry and fear. So they lose the battle at that time. The one who is cheerful, positive, and really hopeful of a better world and better future, and someone who works for it, is obviously winning the battle. Even this pandemic, which we are here for, we are talking because in online sessions because of the pandemic originally. We may even continue to do this later, but we may have been in your school today and speaking to you in your live hall or somewhere. So the point is that even this pandemic can bring out the best in us. It brings out the worst in some people and the best in other people. If we have been helpful, compassionate, positive, optimistic, then we are winning the battle. If we have been fretting, worrying, criticizing, negative, thinking for the worst, and sharing our worst ideas with others, scaring others, then there's something to be corrected. So we need to be, let us say, optimistic realists. This is what I wrote in a column recently in my column. Optimistic realists are those who are not impractical. They are not dreaming about things in the sky. They are gung-ho, they are positive, they are optimistic, but they understand the reality. They understand that there is a problem in the world. It will go away one day, hopefully sooner than later. And they do their best to make whatever they can out of the situation. That's a sign of a successful person. Now, I resigned from the IAS. You see in my name here, ex-IAS. So I resigned because of the fact that I became a motivational speaker. To me, this is success. It's giving me happiness. Atul mentioned that all the riches in the world did not give him the happiness which he gets now out of sponsoring students, teaching students, making them extraordinary. So this is the thing which really matters. And we need to ask ourselves in life, what really matters in life? What is it that really matters? Are we just going to go through the motion and leave one day, okay, bye-bye? No, we have to leave a mark. We have to really do something for them. And problems come in, sometimes problems come in our life. It's not for the first time that we heard of a problem when it comes to us. There was a judo coach, teacher in Japan, and this judo teacher had a student who had only one arm. Only one arm. And that one arm was not enough for judo. But the boy wanted to learn judo. He was about 12 years old. And the master says, okay, I'll teach you one judo move. He taught him. He kept teaching him that one move for 6 months. And after 6 months, he said, you have now perfected this move. We are going to participate in a tournament. This boy wonders, with one arm, I'll participate in a tournament. with one move and one arm, and he goes and he wins his first bout. Wins the second also. Third bout is a little tougher, but he wins. Now he's in the semi-final. Very difficult opponent, but still he wins. The final, there is a very tough judoka, and he is not likely to beat him. Nobody believes in him, and he's losing. Somehow he brings out that one move which he knows so perfectly well that he pins down that other opponent, and the other opponent is not able to get out of that stranglehold. He wins the final. This little boy and the coach are going back home with the trophy. Now he asks the coach, he says, "Sir, will you teach me another move now?" He says, "No, you don't need any other move." He says, "In judo, there is only one way in which people can get out of this tackle, which you know, this move. The opponent can only do so by pinning down your right arm, and you don't have a right arm." Now see, adversity has led to a blessing, which makes him a champion. He has conquered his disability, conquered his problem, and become a champion. I often talk of Arunima Sinha, who is the ex-volleyball player who lost both her legs in a train accident, and she became a mountain climber, mountaineer, and she conquered Mount Everest on prosthetic artificial limbs. And she's written a book now about it. She's an author. So we must find that resolve, determination within to overcome all kinds of problems which come. And what are the problems we normally face? Somebody said something to us. Some particular, we didn't get as many marks if you're a student as we wanted. Or we got late for something. Or the food got cold. Or for ladies, I mean, for men, they were not able to help their spouse, or whatever it was, they got into an argument. These kinds of things are actually not problems. They are only part of life. And they will happen. And a family which stays together and supports each other, they will find that they can overcome much bigger obstacles. Much, much bigger obstacles. Everyone has faced them. So the family becomes the real strength for any person of value. The family will be able to back you in your lowest moments and most difficult moments. How do we overcome fear, by the way? The way to overcome fear is by faith. Faith in ourselves, faith in our own ability and God's help. And if we have faith in God, then God becomes your friend and companion wherever you go. You start talking to him, and people might wonder why a grown-up is talking to himself at the bus stop, but it doesn't matter. So you are talking to God all the time, you have faith in God, and you are grateful for what you have. Then life becomes a bed of roses almost. If you really work on your fears and your problems and your irritability and your anger, then you are becoming successful. The more we improve, even this lockdown gives us the chance to improve. The more we improve, the better we get, the better chances of success in life. So we need to analyze our mind. We need to introspect. We need to meditate. Meditation is something which Atul and I talk about a lot. Meditation gives us the calmness to think clearly. Calmness is required to think clearly, creatively also. Creativity comes from a calm mind, not from a restless mind. When a musician is playing, his mind is totally peaceful. He's not thinking about what will happen to my flight if it gets delayed after I get through with this concert. Maybe I miss my flight. He's not thinking about that. He is thinking about his music. So calmness and creativity are our best friends. Meditation helps us to become more calm. If you meditate morning and evening, whatever religion you follow, read your scriptures, sit and meditate. Very, very, very important. And don't think it will start after retirement. Don't wait for that. I luckily have been meditating for about 12 years. Even when I was DC Panchkula, I used to meditate. I've done all that stuff. And now I find it so amazing to be able to speak to students and teachers and corporates and government all over India through my speeches, through my webinars, through my activities. I find it very peaceful and very fulfilling. So I think we need to make peace with our life. Think we need to find peace in our mind, and true success will come to us. I mentioned these tips in my book, Finding Success Within. You can share it with the younger people in your life, in your family, or in your friend circle. Young children, students, even teachers can read it. There's no harm. In fact, many professionals are reading it. There are 52 life skills. You can read many of them I've mentioned here. Many of them are different: networking, communication skills, etc., etc. I believe we have 80 teachers today, Atul, and it's lovely to have so many on Zoom, and we have also, I guess, some on YouTube. So why don't you come back and share more ideas with the teachers? I think we are going well on schedule. Yeah.
Thank you, Vivek. I'm spellbound.
Thank you.
Anyway, let me try to emulate you. I wanted to bring in the concept of when we think about happiness. I want to combine happiness with success, and I want to bring in management proof to it. I want to bring in research into it. So Harvard University, like all of us know, is the world's #1 university. So they started a research project around 40 to 50 years back around what is success, what is happiness, and is there a correlation between happiness and success? And bingo, after 50 years, 3 generations, they find that there's a very, very strong correlation between happiness and success. Happy people have a 50% chance, a higher chance of being successful than people who are unhappy. And how do you define happiness? How to get happiness in your life? As for this particular report, you can actually get happiness by getting happiness through your friends, through your family, through your spouses, through your children, through your community. So people who were loners were less likely to succeed than people who had all that support from the family. People who were loners would also die earlier. They would typically not have a healthy life beyond the age of 70. While people with the community, people with family, people with support of the spouses and the children typically lived way beyond the age of 80 and more healthily. So my last step, don't be a loner, reach out to your friends. This is the time to do that. Reach out to your family, reach out to your parents. They're beautiful people. Reach out to the community. And as a school or as a university, one of the things that we are trying to do, Vivek, is we're trying to get the communities in place. Let the parents talk to parents. Let us get feedback from parents. Let us get feedback from students. Let's connect the students, of course, on webinars like these. But the webinar doesn't have to be people like me. It could be student talking to student rather than, an academician in between. I'm sure the school is already doing it, ma'am, Usha ma'am. Clearly, you are a visionary. But these were some thoughts which I had. I'm going to surprise you today, Vivek. As we think about success and we think about happiness, one last thought I have is making other people happy, making other people smile can also lead to amazing happiness and amazing success. So our students, apart from lots of other pieces of research, have been working on something called smokeless chullas.
Okay.
So as you all know, in villages, they still use wood or they use koila to actually fire the chullas. A lot of people in India actually die because of that. They get tuberculosis or they get cancer because of that. So students of Shulini have actually patented and developed a smokeless chulla. So you'll see the smile of this lady in this video who gets the smokeless chulla. Let me play this video, if you allow me, Vivek. this is the power, Vivek, of changing lives. Doesn't always have to be high tech and AI and machine learning. We can actually change people's lives by simple ideas like these.
Wonderful, Atul. Really new concept for me as well. Although I've heard of smokeless cholas, but great surprise, fantastic, well done. And let me add, teachers, that Sholini University is doing remarkable research, and it's great leadership of the management and the visionaries who are taking forward such research, especially when you can apply it to society. So it will be very good if even in your school you can introduce students to such concepts, ideas, and you don't know where they can go with their ideas. They are not bound by our rules and regulations. Atul, sometimes even Suvichar has gone, our think tank went to schools, and the students came up with ideas which were fantastic.
Absolutely. And very practical and very implementable.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I think this was an amazing discussion, Vivek. I think hopefully many of us will remember this for a few days, practice it. I want to, before I ask teachers to come up with questions, so please teachers put in your Q&A, put in your chat remarks. I'm going to request Usha ma'am to also please engage with us, unstop her video and unmute herself. And as she does that, I have a question for you. Meditation you mentioned plays a very big role, Vivek. Tell us more about your journey in meditation. And I'll request Usha ma'am in the interim to please join us, Usha ma'am. But Vivek, over to you.
Thank you so much, Atul. Actually, I very happy to share this because I was a very busy officer and always on the move. And suddenly I realized my wife is into meditation. She told me, Nina, my wife, she told me that, she went to this ashram in Chandigarh and she learned some meditation techniques. And she would sit for half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. And I was, initially I was surprised and worried that what has happened to her. But then after a few years, or 2 or 3 years, I also started sitting with her. It took me a few years. I read the autobiography of a yogi and I started going to the Kendra in Chandigarh, Sector 28.
I think that's the book at the back, right?
Yeah. So then I came to the Kendra and then I started meditating and gradually got into it. So this is the book, Autobiography of a Yogi, which I normally mention, and I'm very happy to show you. This is by Paramahansa Yogananda, and it is not a religious book, it's a spiritual book. Everybody will benefit by reading it. It's a life-enhancing book. So I followed his teachings and Kriya Yoga, which is the main meditation path. Atul and his dad and mom and family, they also follow Kriya Yoga. So it's a great path. And Shulini has a great Yogananda library also, which is really magnificent. But just for us in our own journey of meditation, I was a busy person and still am a busy person. But I do take out time for meditation on priority. It's a great influence in my life and my wife's life, and all those who meditate. I know devotees of this path I've seen are wonderful, calm people. So Atul, I think it's been very, very beneficial.
Absolutely. I think I started the journey thanks to you, Vivek, and I think it's so amazing. And the idea is not to follow a particular path, but follow any path. But the guru is very important. I think that's what I learned, Vivek. So, the 2-3 questions which are coming up, and there's one by Shilpa ma'am, but I'll pick that up later. But there's always a question around your life.
Okay.
You chose to resign from the IES, Vivek, at the peak of your career. A lot of people would think that that's stupid. They might think that you might not be happy having left the IES. Tell us more about that. Tell us more about your state of happiness today and what made you leave.
Yes, thank you, Atul. Actually, I realized at some stage that I'm going to be doing the same thing for the next 10 years and before I retire. So 10 years before I retired, I actually quit, and this is 2.5 years ago. And I really became creative. So I wanted to be more creative. I think I had achieved something in the government, and Atul mentioned the IT park. I've been various places. So I really thought that I can do more outside. And now I am very happy to inspire the youth, especially when one child writes to me, one youngster writes to me that, sir, you made me feel much better in my journey, or I look up to you, or something like that. I realize it's worth it. And when I go and teach like Shulini, I go there and one day, Atul, I don't know whether you remember, I actually went there and I spoke, and then somebody messaged me, a student from Shulini said, "Sir, I attended your lecture and you killed it." So I was like, "What is this killed it?" Although I knew. So this is the lingo which they use. Killed it means that it was
Nailed
a
it.
bombastic success. Nailed it.
In English, they'll say you nailed it,
You
right?
nailed
So
it.
you nailed that.
Yeah, so that's why I resigned, to connect more with the youth and be more.
So Shilpa ma'am is asking a question around meditation, and she's saying, how much time of meditation is important at one time?
Yeah, so Shilpa ma'am, you start small. I also started with 15 or 20 minutes. And even 20 minutes of meditation is really good. I can help you. In fact, if we have time, just for 1 minute, we can meditate after this. 20 minutes of meditation will put you on the path. And morning, evening, if you can do both, brilliant. Now, I meditate a little more because I've been into it for 12 years. So I'll do 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. You can do 10 minutes, that's also okay. 20 minutes, even better. It's not the minutes, it's the depth of meditation which matters. So, Usha ma'am, if you allow, I'll just practice a short meditation with everybody.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so this will help you in the middle of the day also. So what you need to do is just sit upright and close your eyes and put your focus between the point between the eyebrows where ladies put a bindi. Just focus on that and let the breath come in and out. It is already coming in and out on its own. Just notice your breath coming in and out and focus between the point between the eyebrows. Close your eyes. Now we start now. Just continue this. Thank you. Even that much, you see what happens when we start noticing our breath. The breath actually calms down. So you'll find in the beginning your breath is a little faster. After 5 minutes of this or 10 minutes of this, your breath rate will become very slow, and the gap between the incoming and outgoing breath will increase. And then your mind also becomes calmer. The thoughts which are coming in, they also are connected to the breath. Restless breath brings more thoughts, and more thoughts bring restless breath. So it's all connected. Even 1 minute in the middle of the day or 2 minutes will make you much calmer than before, and that will help you. So this is known as a very simple Hong Sau technique, which I am also a follower. I am not an expert, but I follow this technique before I do the rest of the Kriya Yoga, and it calms you down a lot.
So amazing, Vivek. I'm already feeling so much better. This was, someone is saying audio is disconnected. Can you guys hear me? Usha ma'am, Vivek, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you
Okay,
are
I think
audible.
it must be a problem with the audience. I think could be your internet connectivity. So Akriti ma'am is saying, I'm very inspired by your stories, Vivek. I want one more inspirational story.
Which story, Atul? Which one do you want? I know your
I
favorite
love
one.
your Einstein story, Vivek. I think
I
that's a
know
great
Atul
one.
loves
Very
the Einstein.
inspirational.
Atul loves the Einstein story. I love the Einstein story too. So let me tell you, ma'am, that once Einstein was on a lecture tour of the US, and Einstein was the greatest scientist we all know. Theory of relativity was his theory. He changed the world in many ways, and we understand the universe because of him. Now, Einstein would deliver a lecture on the theory of relativity in one university and then go to the next university. and then the next university. The same lecture. Now the driver was the same. He would sit at the back of the hall and listen to Einstein. Every time he would listen to the lecture, he would be inspired. 24 lectures later, Einstein's driver speaks to Einstein on the next journey to the 25th town. They are going in a quiet road. Driver is driving. Einstein is reading some papers at the back. He said, Mr. Einstein, I have heard your lecture 24 times sitting at the back of the hall. I think even I can deliver this lecture now. So Einstein is thrilled. He's a great man, great creative person. He says, wow, fantastic. Now I will become the driver. You become Einstein. You sit at the back. They don't know how I look. And we'll go there and you go to the stage and deliver the lecture. So the driver is received as Einstein in the next hall, university, and the Einstein goes and sits at the back of the hall pretending to be the driver. Now the driver goes onto the stage and delivers a perfect, flawless, completely beautiful lecture on the theory of relativity. He has heard it 24 times and he has the confidence, he goes and delivers. Now at the end of it, everybody cheers, Einstein claps, he's very excited, everybody is cheering, and one professor gets up and says, Mr. Einstein, that's a fantastic lecture, but I have a question. And the questions from professors are always very complicated, as you know. You're also teachers, and that question is a very difficult, complicated, complex question. However, the driver looks at him and says, oh, that's a very, very simple question. I think even my driver can answer it. So you see what happens is that a person like Einstein's driver also gives us inspiration. Inspiration is something we haven't talked about today much. Success comes from being inspired from somewhere. The driver had the confidence to not only learn the lecture, to deliver the lecture, and then he had the presence of mind when the complicated question came to answer the professor and say that, oh, even my driver to Einstein, he can answer any question. So this is how a man can remain calm and inspire us so much. So these stories, please keep reading them. One tip I'll give you, teachers and all others who are watching, keep reading books. The more you read along with your studies and your teaching, you will be a better, more inspired individual. You will do greater things. Your students will be inspired. If I tell you these stories, I've read them somewhere. Atul tells you these stories, either we have lived through them or we've read them. So the more you read, the more you'll understand how to be inspired and inspire others.
So Samia ma'am is saying, Vivek sir, tell us your story. Oh, this is actually Vanita this side. She's saying, Vanita ma'am.
Yeah, so I'll tell you very quickly, it's not as long as the Einstein driver story. It's basically, I was a student my father was a police officer and he kept getting transferred. My mother was an educationist. She opened a toddlers school in Panchkula. But before that, we were transferred here and there. I was growing up. Then I became a cricketer and I played under 19 Sikanaidu, which is a national level tournament, twice. And then I went to NIT Kurukshetra, where I had to decide between cricket and studies. At that time, my father said better do engineering. So I did electronics from NIT Kurukshetra. And then I lost my father after that, and he was an IPS officer. So they gave me a job in the government. I became an HCS officer. And after 19 years, I became an IAS officer. I got promoted. And along the way, I started writing and speaking. And I was okay at my work, but I was pretty good at writing and speaking. So I became a writer and speaker. Now I became a full-time writer and speaker because I had the confidence to do so. And that's the story. Thank you.
Of course, Vivek is a very modest person. Vivek is extremely charming, extremely respected. I think apart from success, what I really love about you, Vivek, is you're so modest. And also you've got this amazing glow about your face. It just comes because of the happiness that you have, which is within. And I think
Atul, you're also growing.
Thank you. Thank you. So Usha ma'am, tell us, how do you keep your students happy? I mean, such tough times. How should we all keep our kids at home happy? What's the mantra for that? You're an educationist, and I'm sure this question comes to you.
Okay. As Vivek sir has already told, that we have to be calm most of the time. Most of the students, they are the students. That's why they're committing mistakes. And we are the teachers. We have to accept each and every mistake of the students. And it has to be done with the calmness and by telling the motivational stories. As Vivek sir is telling the motivational stories, most of my students in the assembly, they say, ma'am, one motivational story today. And whenever they're getting any problem, I take an example of any guru and I tell them the stories. If they're the Sikh, if they're the Hindus, I take up their mythology and then I guide them with the help. And I need that I see this thing. There is a great transformation among the students, and they accept me, whatever I say. All the children, whether they are in 12th
Fantastic.
class, whether they are in the second class, whether they are in the fifth class. And most of the teachers, they say, when I'm conducting the meeting also, I also guide them with the help of the stories only. And they're so close to my heart, most of my teachers. Even during this time in pandemic, I have conducted only once or twice the webinar and the Zoom meetings with my teachers. They know me very well that which way the work is to be conducted, and they're conducting it so smoothly that there is no need to pinpoint out to them, because they know they're having a faith on me and I am having a faith on them. The same relationship with the students I'm having with them. They know whenever they're committing any mistake, they come to me, ma'am, so and so teacher is saying that thing. I make both the parties together to sit and I tell them the stories and then tell them that remove the grudges over here in my office. And when you go to the class, no grudges, totally calm, back to your work, back to your aim, back to your success. I guide them in such a way. And the second thing, as Vivek sir has told, that as he is doing the meditation, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, the same process I am following because I am also a follower. And with the God grace, His grace is always with me. And I had a great faith in Him that He is always with us when we spend time for God, for meditation, and as we are eating for our body and giving a growth to our Atma, the soul, then we are totally happy in our life. Whatsoever the incidents may come, you can bear it up, you can cross it, and there are no problems in your life. I hope
Well
I'm
said.
This is
clear.
very inspirational, ma'am. And I think your teachers are very lucky to have a leader like you. Great leaders make ordinary people do extraordinary things. And there's no reason why, that's the reason why your school is doing so well. So now I know. Very enlightening. There's one more question, Vivek, from Vanita ma'am again, and a couple of questions. So I'll quickly go through them. We've got 5 minutes left. So Vanita ma'am is asking, she's saying, how do you motivate a teacher in these days? Nowadays, most people are not having any interest or respect for teachers. So Vivek, this is for you.
I think this is a very important question. The society has somehow downgraded teachers from the levels at which they used to be respected earlier. And I think if more and more young people are to be inspired to become teachers, then we need to really, as a society, as a community, as a nation, we need to give more respect to teachers. We need to honor them more. We have national awards for films. We have national awards for teachers also, but we don't really make them go as much into the public. Even success stories from teachers should be highlighted by newspapers, by media. And as Atul will say, and he's always saying this, that in this corona crisis also teachers have been heroic. They have been working from their homes. Many of them have never used the internet before. Many of them must have never appeared before a camera before, and suddenly they are teaching. So it's a heroic transition. I think what we need to do is to inspire more youngsters as teachers, right from class 3, 4, 5, start telling them that becoming a teacher is a great profession because you are nurturing the future of the nation. So once these kids get into their heads that they have to become business persons or police officers, then they won't become teachers. So we need to start making them learn that right from the beginning. And we need people who are teachers by choice. not by compulsion. Very important.
I think, Vivek, as teachers, we should also be very, very proud of the work we do. I am very proud. Just to tell a small story, my Nana, uh, he ran away from his barrister studies in London, and he came and became a teacher in a small village in Himachal. But I've never seen a more happy and a more satisfied man than him. And he's my inspiration. I think teachers are great people. Huge amount of respect for all of you. I mean, you are the true Corona warriors. You are just the people who make the country tick, human beings tick. Why countries? And I think people do respect you, but do have that pride in you, do have that excitement in you. Never ever let one or two small instances of cynicism bring your excitement down. Those will be my thoughts. There's a question around, introducing meditation in classes. So Poonam ma'am is asking, what about, one class out of the whole program, one period is actually devoted to meditation. What do you think about that, Vivek?
Yeah, I think it can be introduced 5 minutes at a time, maybe after, maybe in the morning and in the afternoon. And I think Usha ma'am must be doing something even otherwise. So a little bit is okay. Perhaps dedicating one period may not be possible at this stage when everybody is so busy. I believe they have only 2 games periods. I am a very great advocate of sports. And even in those 2 games periods, children don't really get to play much. So that is important. I think the parents need to be counseled that children should be asked to meditate at home. That is very important.
So I think we're almost coming to an end. There's a question from Rajni ma'am, and I'll ask this to both Usha ma'am and you, Vivek. She's saying, tell us one book to read which will uplift our spirits. Vivek sir,
Yes,
first
so
you, and then Usha ma'am.
sure, Atul. I've already mentioned the autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I very humbly mentioned my book, which is Finding Success Within. One book which is doing very well all over the world, which is inspiring people, is Yuval Noah Harari. Harari has written Homo Deus, and he's written 21 ideas for the 21st century. So it's something you can read. Yuval Noah Harari.
You probably can type that down.
Yeah,
Usha ma'am, any book
ma'am,
that
go
you would
ahead.
suggest to read?
Sir, I will not suggest any book. I will say this thing is that the teacher should spend at least the time for themselves. And the
That
time
is
for
so true.
themselves is if they want to make themselves fresh, totally fresh. Whenever they're tired, they should sit for the 15 to 20 minutes for meditation, and they will feel this thing, they're getting the inner strength. And when the inner strength comes to them, they're totally fresh. And whole of the hard work, whatsoever you've done in your daytime, that is vanished. The whole of that tiredness is over. You're once again fresh, and you can make everybody happy when you're happy. This is the thing I want to say to my teachers.
So fantastic. And Rajni ma'am, from my side, I'm at the moment reading 2 books, 2 autobiographies. Actually, autobiographies are great reflections on people, especially when you're reading reflections on great people. So Vivek, I'm reading, one is My Experiments with Truth by Mahatma Gandhi. What a fascinating book. And many of us might not know, but this was written pre-1930s. So he talks about his journey up to the 1930s, and the Mahatma became a way, I would say, pious and more important person after the 30s. But what an amazing story. And I'm simultaneously reading another autobiography, Babar Nama. So that is Babar's autobiography.
Wow.
And it is so fascinating, because when we think we've got trouble, and we think that, here was Babar, he was the emperor of the Mughals. But when you read Babar Nama, you figure out that his whole life journey, starting from when he was 8 years old, was full of challenges. And the challenge was not कि COVID ho gaya, Corona ho gaya. The challenge was that the enemy comes in and wants to kill him. So he basically spent 35 years of his life, Vivek, running from one post to the other, trying to make sure that no one killed him, till he actually conquered India. And then also for the next 30 years, it was very difficult for Babar. But an amazing story, I would say. Read Babar Nama if you can. I'm very fascinated by the story of Babar.
Unique.
It's very unique. It's very difficult to read. It's It's very colloquial. Written in 1910, so that old British English. But what an amazing story. So I think we're coming to an end. Thank you, Usha man. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, Vivek, Atray. As I always do, I'm going to ask everyone to give their one last thought, but only one line. So you're only allowed one sentence, Vivek, however long that sentence is. Over to you, Vivek, and then I'll request Usha ma'am for the same.
Okay, Atul, thank you. I'm going to ask everyone to stay calm, stay cheerful, stay connected. And my Instagram ID and my book are mentioned in the chat box. Atul's Instagram ID is also mentioned. Always stay connected and stay cheerful.
Usha ma'am?
Yes, I'm really thankful to Vivek Atray sir for telling such an important things to my teachers, all the important aspects he has told to my teachers. And I believe my teacher will not forget this webinar. They will remember it, they will implement it in their life, and so that whatever we have listened today, it is a part and parcel of our life. And the second thing I would like to say, that if we want to be happy, whether the person is the president of India, president of America, scientist, but when we make relations that make us really happy in our life. And I believe once again, this earth is round. We will meet once again. Thank you, Atul sir, Vivek sir, and Shulini University for arranging such a wonderful webinar for my teachers. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Usha ma'am. My last thoughts, of course, are going to be about safety. Be safe. And like the very famous song of the Lion King, Hakuna Matata, don't worry, be happy. Coronavirus will go away. It's not there to stay. So be happy, have emotional intelligence, and keep smiling. And bless all of you with lots and lots of happiness. Thank you, Usha ma'am, for the opportunity. Thank you, teachers, for your patience.
Thank you. Most
Truly
welcome.
love
Thank you.
all of you. Thank you, Vivek. Have a great day. Bye-bye.